कुंजा बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनार्दन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनार्दन यमुना तेरा बनचारी यमुना तेरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव हारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनार्दन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनार्दन यमुना तेरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव हरि जय राधा माधव जय राधा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Krishna Radha Krishna Jai Radha Nitya Radha Nitya Jai Radha Damodar Radhe Jai Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Krishna Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Telugu Pawan Hrinam Sankirtan Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So, as it is Saturday, we are here with the 7th canto, 1st chapter, topic entitled The Supreme Lord is Equal to Everyone. The shlok number is 32. Kathamopi na venasyat panchannam purusam prati tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna niveshayat. Kathamopi na venasyat panchannam purusam prati tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna niveshayat. Kathamopi na venasyat panchannam purusham prati tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna niveshayat. Kathamapi, anyone, na, not, Vena, the atheistic king Vena, Shayat, would adopt, Panchannam, of the 5 previously mentioned, Purusham, the supreme personality of Godhead, Prati, in regard to, Tasmat, therefore, Kenapi, by any, Upayena, means, Mana, the mind, Krishna, in Krishna, Niveshayat, one should fix. Translation for this verse as follow. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That's the purpose. Translation पढ़ रहे हैं. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously. Then, by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return home back to Godhead. Atheists like King Vena, however, being unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must somehow think of Krishna, whether in a friendly way or inimically. मेरी गाड़ी दे दो उनको ऊपर चाबी. Purport. Impersonalists and atheists always try to circumvent the form of Krishna. Great politicians and philosophers of the modern age even try to banish Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. Consequently, for them there is no salvation, but Krishna's enemies think, here is Krishna, my enemy, I have to kill him. They think of Krishna in his actual form and thus they attain salvation. Devotees, therefore, who constantly think of Krishna's form are certainly liberated. The only business of Mayavadi atheists is to make Krishna formless, and consequently, because of this severe offense at the lotus feet of Krishna, they cannot expect salvation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in this connection, Tena Shishupaladi Binna Pratikula Bhavan Didishure Naiva Narkam Yatiti Bhava. Except for Shishupal, those who go against the regulative principles cannot attain salvation, and they are surely destined for hellish life. The regulative principle is that one must always think of Krishna whether as a friend or enemy. अमज्ञान्तमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगना ललिता शाखां श्री राधा कृष्ण पादां सगना रघुनाथं तं सजीवम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I welcome each one of you present physically here and those who are present online. As today is the Saturday, we have English Srimad Bhagavatam class, and as we are going through, we are following, or we are in the first chapter of the 7th canto, that is the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. So just before starting, I would just read translation once and we will go ahead. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna as very seriously. Then by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return home back to Godhead. Atheists like King Vena, however, been unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must somehow think of Krishna, whether in the friendly way or inimically. So, as it is mentioned here, somehow or other, one must think of Krishna very seriously. This line is very important, as it is said, somehow or other, one must think of Krishna. That may be friendly way or inimically. Now here the question arises, why it is said here friendly and also inimically? Because the remembrance of Krishna is a priority. That is why it is mentioned here friendly way or inimically. Somehow or other you should always remember Krishna, that's all. That is the only means, that is the only thing which has been told in this chapter. Second more important thing is, here it is shown, here it is told in before some verses that there are 5 different processes mentioned in this chapter through which we can be always in Krishna consciousness. With some examples, it was told before in the shlok number, I hope so 31. It is said there, what are those 5 different processes to remember Krishna all the time? That is, through gopis we can understand how they were always immersed in Krishna. As it was said in the before verse that gopis by the lusty desire. Kamsa, he was always Krishna consciousness by fear, by enemy, by the family relationship, the great affection, by devotional service. So these are some processes mentioned over here so that we can be a Krishna consciousness all the time. As I said first, by lust desire. The example for this is gopis. But if we see here, how come it is said by a lust desire? See, there is one thing. If there is reality somewhere, that means there is a. If there is false somewhere, that means there is a reality somewhere. That is why there is a false. If we see our shadow, the shadow is only and only due to the real presence of that shadow. Unless and until there will be no shadow, if there is no reality. So, as we all are part of this material world, in truly speaking, absolutely speaking, we are the part of spiritual world. But as we have forgot Krishna, as we are envious towards Krishna, we are in this world. So as it is said, the lust desire, it is always said in the scripture. See, as we see iron and gold, they are in the same periodic table of the periodic law. In the periodic table, they are in the same family, the same line. But as far as their value is concerned, there is vast difference in them, though they both are metal. So similarly, there is love in spiritual world and also in material world. As there is love in spiritual world, therefore it is love in the material world. But as far as spiritual world is concerned, that love is, what do we actually mean by love? Actually, the meaning of love is to sacrifice for the someone without any expectation. That should be written in the bold words. Without any expectation. That is real love. Real love means to do the needful for some particular person in that way without any expectation. So that kind of love is in the spiritual world, but the love which we say in this material world, it is just only to exploit each other, nothing else than that. In this material world, some of the times we use some cosmetic to look good, to look damsel, to look beautiful. And most of the time, as far as men are concerned, they go to gym. Why? So that there should be good cuts and biceps, triceps, good chest, so that they can wear a half shirt, t-shirt and roam in the streets, so that people may get attracted towards them. Why? Just to attract someone, so that they can exploit each other and fulfill their sense gratification. If you are really concerned about your health, you can go for yoga. But that is not the part of today's topic. The thing is that how we all are totally absorbed in ourselves. Rather, scriptures say we should be absorbed in Krishna. But we are absorbed in ourselves. We use different kind of cosmetics and waste time to apply and those all money and blah blah blah, many more. Why? That means that is not the real beauty and you are making it to feel real. The real beauty doesn't need to do any different kind of arrangements to make it beautiful. It will be always beautiful. That is the only in Krishna. Rather, we all are here in the Dasya to serve Krishna. That is our real ego. If we wanted to know what is our real ego should be the servant of Krishna. जीव मेरे स्वरूप है कृष्ण रे नित्य दास. That should be the real ego. So, as it is said, the love of this material world is just to exploit each other. So I am here to tell. But if we have many kind of desires in our heart, but if we hear the glories of Krishna and also some pastimes of gopis with the senior devotees in the mode of goodness, the scripture says that all lusty desires, all dirty desires in the heart will be cleared. It will go away. You will have only pure desire in your heart if you hear Krishna Katha. So this is the first process, first quality to get absorbed in Krishna. What was second? By fear. डर के मारे भक्ति करना. That is Kamsa. See, Kams was always Krishna consciousness, inimically. Example for this is also Shishupala and Dantavakra. As far as Kamsa is concerned, Kamsa was always Krishna consciousness more than us. Though he was inimical towards Krishna. Because every now and then he was just thinking that Krishna is my enemy and I am supposed to kill him. सोते हुए, उठते हुए, दोपहर में, खाते हुए, every time. When he was supposed to utter a single word, he was always thinking, how can I blaspheme only Krishna and kill Krishna? Nothing else than that. Might be he was such a Krishna conscious that even in his sleep, even in his dream, Krishna might be coming. That was his Krishna consciousness. Shishupal. In one sense, I say Shishupal, but in another different perspective, if we look at him, we need to say Shishupal ji. Because he is a great devotee of Krishna. He is just demonstrating here some examples for all of us. That's why these all great people come here. So, now, as far as Shishupal is concerned, by birth itself, he was envious towards Krishna. हम कब हुए? Might be when we were just knowing some of the things. At that time we may be inimical towards Krishna. But here is a Shishupalji who was, the moment he took birth, he was envious towards Krishna. What to speak more than that is, he was unable to speak. He used to just speak broken words. At those days, since then he was blaspheming Krishna. Since then he was using bad words towards Krishna. Since then he was criticizing Krishna. And when it comes to our part, when can we blaspheme Krishna? At least when we understand. At least when we can speak something. ओ हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, या मराठी में कहता है, जब बच्चे को बोलना भी नहीं आता है, when he speaks with the broken words, तोतला जब व्यक्ति बोलता है, तब से वो कृष्ण को गाली देते थे. Since then, the moment he took birth, he was Krishna consciousness. That is Shishupal ji. तो यदि if you wanted to be envious towards Krishna, you should have that kind of guts and determination, like Kamsa and Shishupal ji. But who are we? So Prabhupada has said, don't dare to be envious towards Krishna. You will slide down to the hellish planets. Don't dare to do that. And the moment we feel it more good to be envious towards Krishna, अच्छा रहेगा. Morning program की जरूरत नहीं, 16 माला का जप नहीं. Rather, we just chant 16 rounds, but these were fellows. यदि उनकी गिनती की जाए, then we may be found, we can find that they might be chanting more rounds than us while blaspheming Krishna. We utter if we wanted to complete one mala, we have to chant 108 mantras. See, at the time of death, they are still remembering Krishna. So what rounds they might have chanted? We chant 16 rounds. Maybe they might be chanting 64 or 192 rounds. That is why they are getting Krishna. And that is why they can be Krishna conscious at the time of death. Rather, what ISKCON is preaching, the peoples around, they say art of living. But ISKCON teaches both. Art of living to the animals also, they know to live. Sorry to say that. But that's true. Have you ever seen that any dog is coming towards you and asking your help? Never. They know, where will I get my food? Where will I get my shelter? They know it very well than us. So even these all living entities, all animals, they know art of living. But ISKCON preaches art of dying, which is very important. And that is what these all people are demonstrating through their examples. What is actually the art of dying? How a person should die? So, in some or other, by fear also, one can remember Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is such a, how opportunities, how the way he is giving all of us different means to remember him. I have covered the second one also, envy, वो भी cover कर दिया हम. By family relationship, the example for this is Yadus. They were always Krishna consciousness as far as they were the family members of Lord. In one sense or other, we are also a family member of Krishna, which we have forgotten. We are eternal family member of Krishna. But the moment we come here, we think that we are family member of this particular blah 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 for particular time. But this is eternal actually, and we forgot that family relationship. And this family relationship is temporary, but still we remember that family relationship, which is temporary. And the Pandavas, the great affection towards Krishna, the great example of the Pandavas, the way they were affectionate towards Krishna. Though there were many disasters in their life, they have to go through many penance, miseries, anxieties, but still they were always Krishna consciousness at every moment of their life. And as far as duty is concerned, as far as general duties are concerned, the process for all of us is devotional service, mandatory. अभी देखिए, there is one thing, one cannot jump directly to the higher rasas. There are 5 rasas. One cannot directly jump to the higher rasas. To go there, one should be very expert in the prior rasas, in the basic rasas. To be a good devotee of Krishna, you should be a good das of the devotees of the Krishna. You should be a good servant of the devotees of the Krishna. Then you can be a good servant of the Krishna. That doesn't mean this is not possible. In one sense, you are looking at the right side, there is Krishna, and at the left side, there are some devotees. At the right, left side, the way you look at Krishna, you give a good smile. And the moment you are looking at the devotees and you are blaspheming someone, or you are criticizing someone, or you are angrily reacting with someone, that doesn't mean that you love Krishna. That was just an illusion. That was just coming out of only feelings. Because if you love Krishna, then you will definitely love the devotees of Krishna. A sage has a good vision to look at everything. Whenever he looks at Any living entity in this creation, in this material world, he looks at that this is a part and parcel of Krishna. In that particular object, he looks Krishna, and the way he accordingly reacts with him, he behaves with him. There is that kind of exchange among them. So similarly, a senior devotee, a good devotee, a pure saint, a pure sage, a pure devotee has that kind of reciprocation with everyone. So devotional service is very important on our behalf, on our part. Now the thing here again comes is, when we wanted to be a Krishna consciousness, what are those things which are making us to stop from being a Krishna consciousness? There are few things like greed, lust, anger, madness, illusion. These are few qualities who are again and again binding us to this material world and stopping us to go close to the Krishna. These are the things which are stopping us to be a Krishna consciousness. We are always here to prove ourselves that how good I am than him. And we are wasting our life in proving that. Stop proving. And if we wanted to prove something, we should prove ourselves that we are a good servant of devotees and Krishna. So, very nicely here it is said, and see, there is one thing, Krishna doesn't want partial surrender. Krishna wants complete surrender. Then only Krishna, rather Krishna reciprocates with every living entity. Krishna has different relation with a different person, and accordingly he reciprocates. But Krishna doesn't want partial surrender. The day, the moment we will surrender ourselves completely, that day we will realize what is our real relationship with Krishna, and we will be totally absorbed in that. Rather, we hear this in every class, that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. We hear it, we speak it. But do we live with it? We don't live with it. Why? Because there is no complete surrenderance. The moment, the day we will completely surrender ourselves, that day we will get a true realization in our heart who we are actually, and we will live with it. And Krishna definitely reciprocates with the complete surrender, not with the partial surrender. Now the thing is, as I said, Krishna has a relationship with everyone. Krishna reciprocates with every living entity. If you see Gajendra when he was crying and praying to the Lord, he was not aware that Krishna is God. He was just aware of one thing, that I need help and this is a person who can help me. Nothing else than that. He was an animal in that species. He was not knowing Krishna is a Narayan. He was not knowing that Krishna is Atmaram. He was not knowing that Krishna is the creator of everything. He was just knowing that I need a help and this person can help me. And Gajendra ji in his prayers has told that Krishna is always eager to hear from ourselves that once loud prayer of surrenderance, which we are never doing it. कभी कभी हमारा सिग्नल चले जाता है. Most of the time there is no signal in your gadget, but Krishna's gadget is such a way that there is always signal, who is finding out which are those souls, those who are surrendering, those who are accepting that Krishna is everything, which we are never doing it. Anyways, rather what we see today is many peoples around, they criticize Krishna. But do you know one thing is very beautifully mentioned, which I was, when I was going through this verse, I could notice this. That is, see, Lord doesn't get affected by criticism because he is in the proper understanding about himself, that who he is. So in the life of devotees also, if we are also suppose going in those phases, if you are also going through some that kind of anxieties, one should actually, he will not get affected by that if he is in the clear understanding and deeply absorbed in Krishna, that who actually he is. So that is why Krishna is never affected by the criticism of people, because he is in the clear understanding, deeply absorbed who he is. So, as far as it is on our behalf, we should never be envious towards Krishna, we should never be inimical towards Krishna. These are great examples of Shishupala and comes Dantavakra, because they were fully absorbed in Krishna actually, in that process, in that quality also. But that is not with that case is not with us. In this paragraph, in this verse, there is example of Vena. As if Shishupalji was inimical and envious towards Krishna, but still he got mukti, he got a liberation. And the same was the fact with the Vena. What did Ven Maharaj used to do? Ven Maharaj, wherever there used to be a sacrifice done for the Krishna, he used to go there and disturb all things. He was also envious towards Krishna, but at last he didn't got those reciprocation which Shishupal got, which Kamsa got, because he was not totally absorbed in Krishna. He was partially inimical towards Krishna. So, it is always good for all of us to be a good devotee, a good servant of Krishna and serve in the all means, so that in some or another day we can be a Krishna consciousness in our life. Let me tell you one story to understand this verse very nicely. Before that, I will tell you one thing. Once one devotee went towards Srila Prabhupada and asked Prabhupada, today in the class you said that we should be a Krishna consciousness 24/7. Prabhupada, I wanted to be a part of that. So please guide me and help me to be a Krishna consciousness throughout the day. So Srila Prabhupada ji looked at that devotee and said, before being a Krishna consciousness 24/7, you first of all be a Krishna consciousness. You always think of Krishna when you are chanting your 16 rounds. Then think of 24/7. First be Krishna consciousness for the 2 hours when you are chanting. Then you think of that. So definitely there is a lesson for all of us, that we should be Krishnamay, Tanmay when we are chanting. What do actually chanting means? Chanting means it is a personal meeting with the Krishna. Whenever we are busy with some meeting, we keep our gadget off and totally absorbed in that meeting and reciprocating with the people present in that meeting. And and the same is with the chanting. Chanting means meeting with the Krishna. But this chanting is different. This meeting is very different from that meeting. The moment we start this meeting, the moment we start chanting, all things start revolving around us. What am I supposed to do today? What I did yesterday? Everything starts. If you look at the movie, in the television, you can see one channel at a time. But when we are chanting, there are number of channels going around within. So, chanting means a meeting with Krishna, and one should be very attentive when that meeting is going on. That is a personal meeting with Krishna. That is chanting. So, yes. So, as I was saying, art of dying, let me tell you one short and the real story how it took place few years or decade before. In abroad, once some devotees they were distributing books, and there was one girl who was passing to that street from the college, and he saw some devotees they were distributing books, and then he just came across those devotees and he got one book. That was Science of Self-Realization. He took it, but he was well aware that my mother never liked this, reading spiritual books. So what am I supposed to do? Let us keep this in my locker. So she never opened that book. Once mother came in the room of that girl, Arthat daughter, and she started cleaning her room, and in the locker he got this book that was Science of Self-Realization. But as he looked at, it seems that she didn't read the book. He was quite happy. He took that book and went away. She kept in her room, and some days passed, and there came a mother-in-law of the daughter's mother. And as she was in that room, she was just going through some of the things of her, and just he came across that book, and that mother, that grand mother of that daughter started reading that book, and she was very happy when she read that book. And then he asked her daughter-in-law, how did you got this book? She said, I didn't know. Hope so. My daughter brought it. अर्थात पोती को क्या बोलते हैं? Grandson, sorry. It seems that my granddaughter has brought it. Anyways, I will just consult with her. How did he got this book? And that old mother said to her granddaughter that this book is amazing. I wanted to know the person who wrote this book, is he there or in this world or no? And then he came to know that Prabhupada is not here. So he said, anyways, I wanted to read many more books of this Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada. And he started reading those books. And she was very happy when and then he had another desire that please let us take me to this ISKCON temples. Once they went to the temple, when he saw the deity, he was quite happy. And then he had another desire. That was, let us take all these brahmacharis to our home, all devotees of the temple to our home, and let us have kirtan there. Then they had a kirtan there. And then very suddenly, all family members were sitting at the table. They were having their meal. And this grand mother said to everyone, since today, there will be no onion garlic in our house. Since today, no one will eat meat. अभी सीनियर सिटीजन है, बुजुर्ग व्यक्ति घर के बोल रहे तो सुनना पड़ता है. So everyone accepted. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. And later there was a little problem with her body, and then after investigation she came to know that I have cancer and soon I will be leaving this body. But she has an intense deep desire to read Srimad Bhagavatam. He read all the books before, but now there was no ability for her that she can read and complete Srimad Bhagavatam. Then she asked her granddaughter, please come and help me in reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. You better read here and I will just hear. So the daughter started reading, and this mother used to just listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from her granddaughter. The days passed. She was continually hearing, and she was continually reading for her mother, grandmother. And the day came that grandmother started crying loudly and just uttering a word saying that, Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada, you came to take me. Srila Prabhupada, you personally came to take me. And she left her body. And this daughter once came to Mayapur, and then there was a Srimad Bhagavatam class going the way today is going it. And she asked this question to the Maharaj. I think so, Indradhinu Swami Maharaj was giving the Srimad Bhagavatam class, and she asked Maharaj, as my grandmother, in his last days, he started reading Krishna books. And he was such absorbed in Krishna. And the last day he was crying and saying that, Srila Prabhupada, you personally came to take me. So this is my question now. Will Prabhupada similarly come for me to take? And Maharaj replied, definitely Prabhupada will come to take you. So what we all learn from this is, see what actually needs to be surrendered to Krishna. This grandmother in her last few days, he was Krishna conscious, and Srila Prabhupada ji, Lord came to take her. So what it needs a strong determination and humility. Humility attracts Krishna. And due to this humility, it is very easy for all of us to progress in spiritual life. So, how long you live is never a matter. You may live for at least 1 year, but how you are living, it is important. As far as there are different ashrams for all of us, a grahastha ashram, Krishna is always concerned. You know what? कि देखिए हम जो बिजी शेड्यूल है वो तो ठीक है, उसके अलावा जितना हमारे पास खाली समय में है वो समय में हम क्या करते, कृष्णा हैज रिकॉर्ड फॉर दैट. रादर कृष्णा हैज रिकॉर्ड फॉर एवरी मोमेंट, बट कृष्णा इज स्ट्रिक्ट इन दैट सेंस कि हम बचे हुए समय में, फ्री समय में क्या करते हैं. सो एज फार एज गृहस्थ इज कंसर्न, ही मे से दैट आई हैव सम रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज and 12 hours I'm busy. So Krishna has a calculation for another 12 hours, what you are doing in that 12 hours. If someone is brahmachari, and Krishna is concerned for the entire 24 hours for that brahmachari, because he has given entire his life. So what are you doing in these 24 hours? Krishna has a calculation of every moment of our free time. If someone is one person, Sannyasi, Krishna has a different calculation and calculator and notebook for that all. So it is up to all of us how we are utilizing our free time. In fact, we'll stop here, and the theme or the conclusion of the climax of today's verse was, you should be a Krishna consciousness. That may be a friendly or inimically. For ourselves, for our safety, for our safe, we should be Krishna consciousness, not in the inimical way, in the devotional part of it. In the devotional service, we should be completely absorbed. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhayasya kripa sindhubhaya vaccha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you.